Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson Media. Today is a Wednesday. As always, our Wednesday is a live show, and we are very, very lucky and honored to host one of our best friends, especially is a leader from Homabay County. I will give him a time to introduce himself. Then from there, we can go and discuss the topic of today about the Luo Nation. Thank you very much, my brother. You can take the floor.
Thank you very much, Brother Ben. My name is Agiver Bwana. Agiver Bwana is a political scientist, as per our topic of today. One of many hats, but for today, political scientist and historian. That is what is bringing me in today.
Thank you very much, Brother Agiver Bwana. And today we want to have a conversation that has always been on the street, especially on the Luo Nation. And we are looking at what is the way forward for the Luo Nation. As you know, Luo Nation, especially with the citizen of Luo, they've been participating well when it comes to Kenya political and processes of Kenya. But at some point, there are some discussion that they are having amongst themselves that sometimes we need to come here and maybe share it with the public. Maybe for our viewers, maybe if you can describe the journey that Kenya has been through and the Luo Nation experience in Kenya.
Description of what Kenya has been going through, or rather the Luo as a nation has been going through. We can start it way back. Maybe if we look into the migration of Luo from where we know that we came from, how we came down to Uganda, how we passed the borders and settled where we are. Without that put into consideration, any kind of description will not be really describing Luo as a nation that has contributed to the growth of each and every part of this region where Luo as a nation has passed. We have been here because of the strength, spirited strength. We've got strong spirit. We are united as a nation. We are people who are focused, and we are people who are very wise. This thing of being wise, or rather being clever, or being strong and being spirited in a way that really make us grow, is not only something that we say because we are kind of boasting of what we are. What is here is that many people have recognized this. Many people have recognized this. Even the colonialists, when they came, they recognized that. That's why they even thought of the late His Excellency Oginga Odinga, Makajoma. They thought of Makajoma to be the first president of this nation because of that. Many a times you've heard of us being, the likes of Ouko Robert. Whenever he stood and talked before the global audience, he was taken to be the president of this nation, and it is purportedly said that that is some of the main reason that is why he was assassinated, as people say. Now, the journey, our journey to where we are today, we are here today as Kenyans. We are here today as a society that is called Kenya, majorly as Kenya because of one tribe, if I may call so, Luo. If there is no Luo in Kenya, the Kenya that you are seeing now wouldn't have been Kenya that you are now seeing. It would have been a different thing. We have always shaped the course of this nation as a community. If you can see, when the independence was being fought for, when people are talking about Mau Mau, people are thinking of the central Kenya region to have participated much more than any other tribe. It is because maybe the capital city was in Nairobi, that is why it is seen so. And they are closer to that region, that is the city of Nairobi. Amongst those who were detained, you understand that there is one called Achieng Oneko. That was a Luo. Among the regions where the detention camps were erected, we have got a place, an island in Lake Victoria called Chula Mageta. Why do you think that was created there, or rather erected there? It is because of the pressure that used to come from the lakeside. But we were not only using weapons, we were capable of negotiating. We were capable of reasoning with the colonialists. And that is what pushed the colonialists to organize for Lancaster House Conference that happened in England. And when that happened, those who pioneered, or rather were in front of the negotiations, were the Luos. When that happened, they saw it well that the leadership of this nation, when it was now leaving the hands of the colonialists, was supposed to be given to His Excellency Makajoma Oginga Odinga. Many people have faulted Oginga Odinga for having left that position to the then detained Kenyatta, who became the first president of this nation. But as a Luo, we have got one thing called culture. We are so much anchored into culture in so many things. Socially, we are anchored into the culture. Even economically, we are anchored into the culture of our community. Politically, we are anchored into the same. There is one thing that I heard of these people, including Oginga Odinga. There are some speech that we've come across. When he said that when you go to hunt in the bush, and it happens that someone has bled out of hunting, maybe pricked by a thorn, or rather a wild, the wild that was being hunted turned against him and maybe wounded him, and at long run, that wild is killed, is hunted down. He is the person who would be given an opportunity now to dish out the hunted wild animal, the wild bush and bush animal. That person is the person. It is within the culture of Luo. So when we were now looking for the leadership, or rather the independence of this nation, it was taken by the right, or rather His Excellency Oginga Odinga, that he was to be given, that leadership was to be given to Kenyatta. Because Kenyatta suffered detention and torture more than any other during that time. Now, when we left that, in 1965, those who presented the first paper that was to change this nation into a better nation, that is sessional paper number 10 of 1965. that was talking about African socialism
Mm-hmm.
was none other than Tom Mboya.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, our constitution of today, that we fought over 40 years from that time to the time that it was promulgated in 2010,
Mm-hmm.
is rightly digging deep into the tenets that was presented then in 1965. After that, when Kenya now got its independence, and they now started thinking like kind of, now we've gotten it, and now let us now eat it as we would like. Let us eat it greedily.
Mm-hmm.
Those who came out to fight for the liberation of this nation from the greedy individuals
Mm-hmm.
were Luos. Those who have been in the detention for a number of times are the Luos, led by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
Before you go there now, because like based on the history that you've given us, it shows how the Luo nation, especially the sons, have really participated in even getting the independence, the independence of our country, Kenya. But on the street, there are these voices that feel like the nation, they are tired. Why that tiredness in them? Why do they feel tired?
There is no one who is tired.
Mm.
There is no one who is tired. You know, the tired, the kind of tiredness you are talking about, they are things which are being created. They are cosmetic.
Mm.
They are being created by some people who are thinking of their stomachs. Let me tell you one thing, that Luo as a nation cannot be tired before they reach the coast that they are up to. You can get this right from the time immemorial when we are talking about the so-called, the legendary people like Luanda Magere. When you are coming down to the time when now the Kenya got independence. I have just talked about the Oginga Odinga.
Yes, you did.
If you can be told about the sufferance Oginga Odinga went through, he would have been the first one to get tired more than any other individual, right from the time he was taken out of the government in 1966, up to the time when he was now vying for presidency in 1992. He suffered a lot, detained, and was kind of being subjected into torture, but he never got tired. Luos were as well with him for all that duration. No any other Luo was against Oginga Odinga, including those who remained in the government. There are a number of those who remained in the government during that time. But you could hardly hear them coming back to the Luo land, telling people ill about Oginga Odinga, because they knew that it is against the culture. They knew it, that when time comes, a time always comes, that you will go home. And when you go home, that very breast that fed you when you were young, you are a baby, you are going to still appreciate it. That is the breast that has made me be who I am today. So there is no one who can tell you now. It is a cosmetic coming from the places we know, and the purposes of it being spread all over. We have got the information about them.
And Agiver, thank you for telling me. Maybe the tiredness of not even like getting tired to get what they want, but the tiredness based on what they are going through. And again, to connect it, you've talked about how the Jaramogi, Oginga Odinga, the Tomboyas, how they participated. But when you're looking at from 1960 to date, yeah, if you look at, you're very, very, very keen. You've seen like the government of the day will always be, seems like sometimes they're against the Luo, because look at the way even Oginga, the late Excellency Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, uh, played part. At the end of the day, he was not treated well in the government. He ended up leaving. Come again to the one for the Right Honorable Prime Minister. You know his history well during the coalition government and everything that he did. Again, at some point, he was not kind of like treated the way he should be treated. Why is that this one is happening? Why does it only happen to the topmost of the lower brass leaders who usually fight for the processes in terms of political space in the country?
You know, sometimes I can say that we are suffering because of our goodness. We are so nice. We are so nice. Let me tell you this. It is true that many of us have suffered. When we had one by the name Tom Mboya, a very brilliant guy, when he was being skewed for the position of presidency, he was murdered. When it came to 1991 or so, somewhere close there, another brilliant guy by the name of Uko was assassinated. When we were now looking for the new constitution, Mbai was assassinated. When the constitution came, and now we were hoping to get into a free and fair elections, a thorn that has been in the flesh of Kenyans for so many years. One brilliant Luo by the name of Sando was murdered. If you let alone that, those are people who have been murdered. Look at the development side of all of the sufferance that I'm talking about. Luos fail to get considered as part of Kenya, the Luo region, for many years since independence, merely because the leaders who were there were fighting for Kenyans, not fighting for themselves. That is being the aspect of being nice I'm trying to talk about. It was not because we wanted something that was selfishly ours.
Yeah.
Our leaders who were there were looking for the benefit of all Kenyans. That is what made the then government to sideline the Luo region up to the time when now the NAC regime came to be. And that is when you can now talk of the tarmac roads within the Luo nation from that very time. The only problem that I see is still going to injure us is the niceness that I'm talking about. Because it is not very much easy for the Luos to change their scope when it comes to the politics, when it comes to how they reason. Any other person who is going to reason contrary, we always say that maybe there are two things. He might not be a Luo, who is living within the Luo,
Mhm.
or two, might have been born that weak that his mind can be corrupted easily to think otherwise. Because we have never been people who are thinking naive,
Mhm.
that you must do something ill for you to get helped. In Luo, we say Jaluo Jaonagi, to mean that we don't pester.
Mhm.
We won't pester.
Mhm.
When it belongs to us, it should belong to us. And
Mhm.
that is the reason as to why when you are refusing to give us what is due to us,
Mhm.
you will always easily see us on the street, whether we are being killed,
Mhm.
whether we are being maimed,
Mhm.
because we know that what belongs to a right that belongs to any person
Mhm.
must be given to that very person. So we are suffering out of niceness. That is all I can talk.
Okay, Brother Giver Bwana, you mentioned some of the names, and these are very prominent people in our community in Luo Nation as a whole, and they've contributed so much. You named the late Tom Mboya, you named Dr. Robert Ouko, you named Professor Odhiambo Mbai, and you named Chris Musando. And I think I will also maybe add some Baby Pendo, though Baby Pendo was still very young. But it happened in Luo Nation, whereby you know what happened to Baby Pendo, especially. Why is this one so? Even if we are nice to that extent, why then should it be that those who are nice are paying the hefty price? Why should it be that the community is paying that hefty price?
Sometimes I think we are live. We are live, and I was almost saying something that is very, very, very
Uh,
sensitive.
no, don't say something sensitive.
That is why
No, no, no.
I've gotten you.
Yeah.
One thing that I know
Mm,
is that we need to see how to go about all this. If I don't go deep into why we are suffering because of niceness, being
mm,
nice, being cool, and being focused.
mm,
One thing I know
mm.
is that we may still continue suffering
Yeah.
in the very line that we have suffered before,
Mhm,
unless we change a certain course.
mm.
What have we done as Luos
Yeah.
when all these our people are being killed? Do you know what sometimes bring about a revolution?
Mm,
Do you know what sometimes brings about kind of an anarchy in part of a nation or part of a country?
mm, mm,
It is the suppression that the present government might be subjecting on the people of that particular region.
mm,
You heard of many people thinking about the secession of, a community.
mhm,
Such are some of the things that we have thought of. Such are the things that if we are now talking about the kind of, dialogue that is going on now,
mhm,
if they cannot be addressed, there are three basic ways
mm,
of a certain, on how, self-governance can be attained.
mhm,
And it is not that I am talking from, no, it is even recognized by the UN. If negotiations sometimes fail, when a country is put in on a pressure and certain communities feeling that their rights are being denied, they are being denied their rights, they can get it.
but but but,
through the war.
but Agiver, let me ask you about negotiation. In the history of Kenya, the first negotiation that took place was between the I think the third president, the late Honorable Kibaki, and
Not there.
mm,
Negotiation started in 1997,
yeah, in
98 there, when
yes,
new KANU came to be,
yes,
when NDP was folded and new KANU came to be.
yes. Then the other
The,
one,
the other negotiation came to be when the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga's victory was denied,
yes,
and it ended up into a bloodshed all over the country
hmm,
that ended up into the formation of National Accord,
yes,
where the two governments, the Raila Amolo Odinga's government and Kibaki's came into, a kind of handshake,
hmm,
a handshake government.
yeah,
That is the only handshake government that has been there.
yeah,
And from there is a negotiation that happened again between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga.
yes,
And that again brought about the handshake,
hmm,
but not handshake government.
hmm,
It was a handshake that just they agreed on the modalities
hmm,
on how things should be done.
hmm,
Then that is those are
yeah,
they are four.
yeah,
They are
okay.
four.
So when you
They
look
are
at
four.
all these negotiations, yeah, but does it mean that when all these negotiations are taking place, some of the issues and things that are oppressing the Luo nation are not put on the table? Because it usually happens year after year, year after year. Every election cycle, it happens. Because take even on how we've lost, especially as a Luo nation, how we've lost our young men. Yeah,
Mm.
these are the backbone of the Luo nation. These are the people who would produce a new generation, and they're the people who suffers the most, including the recent one. Does it mean that the issues of the Luo nation does not being addressed correctly, or we are doing it wrong? And what is the way out for that?
You know, I told you that we are nice people.
Yeah.
When we go into the negotiation as a Luo, we
Mhm,
don't go there to fight for Luo.
mhm,
We are taking Kenya as a whole. We are fighting for the interests of the entire nation,
mhm,
the entire country. That is where many a times when it happens that Luos are not within this country, I don't know where Kenya will be, because we are the only community that when they are fighting for something, but they will not be fighting for themselves. They will be fighting for the rights of each and every individual. Over 48
mhm,
tribes in Kenya.
mhm,
So that is the reason as to why even the negotiation of today,
mhm,
it is not talking about the Luos.
mhm.
But all we are talking about, the rights of each and every individual in Kenya, including those who have been killed. When that is done, then even the Luos should be enjoying that very right that is protected. We have never come out as a Luo nation that we want to fight for ourselves.
But Agiva, let me just ask you. We've yes, and we've seen this, and it's something that is in the national domain or the public. But for how long? That's what. How for how long are we going to continue to lose our young men and women on the street? For how long will our leaders who are doing things that are very good, people like Musando, who ended up losing their life in the process of election, for how long as a nation?
Brother Ben,
Yes.
the political war, or
Yeah.
rather military war,
Mhm.
does not have timeline.
Ah, okay.
They do not have timeline because as long as you are living, you are a political animal.
Mhm.
You will always be politicking. Whatever we are doing now, we are trying to engage on matters politics, how our people have been affected.
Yes.
We are very much noble about this. But sometimes in future, many people may see this noble idea that you have as a threat. And for that matter, they may end up thwarting, looking for any other way to thwart this. To thwart this to the extent of even your life is now put into danger because of whatever you are doing. But your cause is so much noble because you are only having some concerns, and that is the reason as to why you've come up with this project. So when we are talking about any war, a war has got no timeline. Timeline are set by cowards that end up losing it after all. The war that the Luos have engaged in, it started way back before our memories can collect. What are not written before the Luanda Magere, maybe the story of the legendary man Luanda Magere, that is where your history of war you started hearing from that point, the Luanda Magere legend. So it has come in that manner to the point that we are now talking about the 2022 general election that we so believe we were denied when we won. So after this, we are now in the process of a talk that we believe that should be gearing us to a fairer election. And the truth about the last election, it is still the war. Anything may happen from this talk that is going on now, that maybe some signatures are going to fail to be signed, or maybe some other very vital points in the discussion are going to be omitted to be in the report. Another phase of war is going to start from that end, and that is what will continue. In fact, I want to promise our people that once you are born, especially in Kenya, the political war that we are going through is not going to end that soon. We are going to be into it, and we need to fold our sleeves, roll up our sleeves, and pull up our socks towards this war. So it is not up to when. The only question, I think, that how it would have come out is that how can our people be safe during all this time? We've got all the documents that are that are recognized in this country, right from the mother of all laws, that is the Constitution of Kenya. We have got the statutes from the legislature. We have got regulations, because many people who are dying are not dying in the hands of civilians. When we are talking of the number of Luos who have died, they have died in the hands of the officers who should be protecting them. The regulations are there. Why are they omitted? Why is it that when all these things happen, we cannot change the war towards that? Because that is another different war. Okay. It is different from the politics.
Okay, and it's a conversation that we should be continue having, and let's now get off of that conversation, and now let's come to Nyanza region. How can the Luo nation use the natural resources that they have in their various county to improve on the economy of these great counties that we have? We have Homabay, we have Migori, we have Kisumu, we have Siaya.
Very interesting. One thing that made the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to fight for the new constitution was the Majimbo. Initially, it was supposed to be in the former, be put into, around 7 regions, that is, or 8, based on the former provincial levels. Then later on, it was seen to be put into the then districts, that is now making them to be 47. One thing that is here, as the region of where the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is coming from, we should be understanding the essence of devolution more than any other region. We have got a lot within this region that are untapped. Resources that when tapped, there would be no need of our people going to far distant places to look for opportunities. We have got resources. We have got very prime lands that can be tilled. We have got the airport.
Yeah.
That can even transport by the way, it is an international airport. It is better than many of the airports around the region. It can carry the goods, even perishable goods, direct from that place to the foreign lands. We have got opportunity because we've got strong people on the ground, young men who are lacking opportunity, job opportunities. There are monies which are coming into the counties from the national government, monies that we never used to see before the promulgation of the Constitution. What are our governors doing with this money? We need to serve as an example to other counties, because this is where the devolution came from. The man who pioneered the devolution is coming from this region. And how the governors we've got have worked around has really failed the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. We are measuring on things which are not of importance. We need to dig deep into the resources that we have.
Yeah, because I was looking at I was just going through a preview, like I'm looking like Homabay. When you go to Homabay, we have Olare. Olare is known to be producing one of the best pineapples, and
True.
When you go to Migori, we have the mines, Siaya too. We have the fish. We have, even if you come to Kabondo, we have the potatoes that are being produced there in large scale. But how can our leaders, even in the parliament, go and fight for good prices, even for sugarcane, for even tobacco in Migori, where it's grown in large scale? I've never at any time in my life listened to any of our members of parliament discussing the issue of paying our farmers, especially who are doing tobacco, good pricing. I've never, as compared to members of parliament from central Kenya, where the coffee and what their farm produce is like their major thing they discuss about it. What is happening with us?
How do you do that when the people who have been elected, when you see the people from, the MPs from Rift Valley, they talk in parliament in one accord. When you see MPs from central Kenya, they talk one voice when they are in parliament. Rarely will you see people, MPs from certain regions talking different languages, especially when they have been elected through a certain party that supported a certain cause or rather coalition. What is it that is happening in Nyanza? The people, when you have talked about the people who are farming tobacco and people who are farming sugarcane, mostly In Nyanza, it is within the belt, is within Moroni, and then you go to Awendo, and maybe Kanyamwa, around those places. The MPs of Awendo region, they are not here with us. They are within the government when they were elected with a different party. Tell me how you will be agitating for all these things, because what those people will be doing in parliament, or rather the government will be doing, is to propose the agenda, or rather the legislations, which are favoring the major regions that voted for them.
Mm-hmm.
That is why you heard of the deputy president of this nation saying that the government is a what?
It's a share.
It's a company with shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
And the regions which voted for them, those are the regions to be considered. So until that time that the MPs who have been elected to go represent people, to understand the reason as to why they have gone into the parliament, that is when we are going to be safe as the people who vote these MPs.
Okay, let me ask you, because I know when an MP is voted in a political party. When he goes to parliament, he swears by the Bible to respect the law and the constitution of Kenya. He become a public or state officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a state officer and you're a leader and there's a problem in your area, does it mean that even if you're working with the government, you cannot find it within you that is important, that there are somebody that I represent in Kanyamkago, in Migori or Uriri County, or in Awendo, that needs very good pricing when it comes to tobacco farming? Does it cost you anything?
Where you are in USA, brother,
Mm-hmm.
you know that there are only two parties there.
Majorly, yes.
Majorly, we have got two parties.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Republican and the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of any floor crossing when it comes to the issues that are affecting the nations, or rather the states? That is when it comes to how those people, the parties are voting in that parliament. As much, what I'm trying to say here is that as much as you swore using the Bible that you are now a public officer, there is no any law that allows any other law to be inconsistent with the other. The consistency is key in any kind of law setup. Any other law that will be inconsistent with the other, when it is inferior to the other law that it is inconsistent of, then that inconsistent law will be rendered null up to that point of its inconsistency. What do I mean? There is Parties Act, Political Parties Act. How one should be behaving, there are in regulations, including the constitutions of those parties. The moment it says that they have to fight for the cause as per the dictate of that particular party, if you go against that, you go against the will of the people, because these people knew that you were in a certain party, and that is why they elected you to go and serve them within the policies of that very party. So the moment you've gone out of that, the policies of a party, and jumped into the policies of any other party, you are equally have left the party. And that is the reason as to why you cannot fight for the interest of those people that you went to represent.
So which means as a community or as a nation, we need to start having this conversation about like how can we make sure that our people, especially with the good pricing of our products, because whether, because like where sometimes I might disagree with you, because like I'm looking at, when you look at the political in the world, what usually
Mm.
happens, especially when there's a bill that need to be passed in parliament, especially let's take for instance, it was a finance bill, right? The one that was
Mm.
there, that was passed the other day. What usually happens is the government will always try to talk with opposition, especially through their leaders, the minority and the majority leader, and they agree on 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 what is good, like they say, this is where we agree, this is where we disagree. Then how can we talk on where we disagree and find a mutual agreement, so that when they go to the parliament, or they go to during the voting, so the voting, everybody votes, and it's because like there was a prior negotiation or a prior communication between the parties, which sometimes does not happen in Kenya, right?
Brother,
Yeah.
brother Ben, you have not talked of poaching. You know, you've really put it well, that they can approach the opposition or other parties which are not within their coalition through the leadership of those particular coalitions or parties, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I've
In
said.
a scenario where now the government tries to poach the parliamentarians who are not even leaders, they are going through the back door to talk to these people. And to, by the way, for the case of Kenya,
Mm-hmm.
you heard of the majority whip,
Mm-hmm.
MP Osoro,
Yes.
telling you that they bribed the opposition members of parliament who voted for them in the parliament to pass the finance bill and any other things that they have passed. In such a scenario, where is the democracy?
That
Are you seeing what I'm trying to talk about?
yeah.
I don't refute that the government can talk to the opposition
Mhm,
so that they negotiate to make them pass the laws.
mhm.
Meaning, when they are negotiating with the entire party, meaning that it will be a 50-50. It will
Yes.
be that our people are we all have we all agreed that when we let the government pass this bill,
Mhm,
no any other MP will cry that his or her people will be disadvantaged, and
mhm,
everyone agree, so that you go as a package and you take your proposals, so that the government and the opposition are putting their proposals together.
mhm.
During that time is when now look what at what happened. Even the concerns of the civilians who went to present their concerns to the committee of the budget, they were turned down simply because they knew they had bought some MPs from the opposition side, and there is at all no need for them to negotiate with the opposition. They passed that particular bill the way it is. Now Kenya is in a mess where we are because of all that.
Yeah, give us. I think Kenya still, as a country, we still need to have a very, 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 very serious negotiation and very conversation, so that we can find ourselves and find where we are and where we want to go to.
Mm.
Because if you look at what is happening, it's something that will be going is a circle. Because I'm very sorry, because like I had one of the MPs that when they were asked, especially the ODM MP that visited the president in the state house, they say they went there to look for development. And most, to me, I might be wrong, but I know that most of the development, or the most of the major projects, are being appropriated in the house. You know,
Mm.
if there's
Mm.
a project that need to come to your constituency,
Mm.
the
Mm.
money must be appropriated. You cannot just go and the president will just take the money from exchequer. Okay, I'm giving you this road. So there is a money that has been appropriated for such like projects. And and how do you get, like, just go and the president will just give you, like, okay, this is the project I'm giving you? How does it happen?
That is where political harlotry is now talked about. Where that is the point. Because one, what is the role of a parliamentarian, brother Ben?
To legislate.
Good
Yeah.
to do the oversight
Right. Yeah.
and to pass laws.
Mm-hmm.
That is to legislate
Mm-hmm.
and to do the oversight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when all these, the major thing here is to do the oversight and legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Representing the people is the key. You are oversighting the government on behalf of the people.
Mm-hmm.
What is your role now when you've gone to the State House and working from the State House? How are you oversighting? You've missed it out. That is one. Two, the MP's resource to develop his constituency or her constituency is the CDF. That is all. Every other development should be coming from the state direct, whether you are with the state or not, with the government or not.
Mm-hmm.
Your place is supposed to be developed just as any other part of the country would be
Because you
developed.
pay tax.
Because you pay, your people are paying tax.
Yes.
Other development channels are coming from the county governments. So there is no reason that an MP should be talking about that for my people to get development, I have to go to bed with the government. There is nothing. It is about hypocrisy. It is about letting your people down. It is about not knowing your role as a legislator who has been, elected to go and represent the people.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Giver. I want to give you, there's somebody here. It's called Hello, Brother Benson. Say hi to Hon Agiver Bwana. That's a great conversation. I'm happy with the youth must lead. Honorable Ogada is a leader in Kisumu. He's a political leader. He has his own political party. So maybe one time you might have a conversation with him.
Great.
There's also, based on your talking, somebody was saying, statistic has it that a good number of prominent Luo members have perished on behalf of fellow Kenyans. Are we aware of other Luo seemingly to go through the same experience? That is one. Somebody saying here, hello, Brother Ben. Send greetings to the colleagues who are equally our voices as citizens. So those are just some of the things that we've covered. Somebody, I think he had you talking about fighting till the end. Today, great move till the end. That is Mr. Felix. So, Brother Giver, maybe your last remarks to our viewers and the way forward for the Luo Nation.
Thank you. I want to be so brief about this. One, currently where we are, we might be disillusioned because things have happened, so many things have happened within a very short span, where someone who was about 5 or rather 7 years in 1997 up to now, that person, what he or she has seen in politics of Kenya when it comes to how politics works with the Luo might be disillusioned completely. But this is what is there. One thing you should know, that tree with ripe fruit is the tree that suffers most from the stones thrown from outside. It tells you how important you are as a community of Luo. Where we have been, it is not something that we are doing because of us loving ourselves to be suffering in the manner we have been suffering. It is within our bone marrow. That blood is originating right from the bone marrow. It was created into us by God, that we don't let things go at ease. We fight to the tail end of everything. To our brothers who are now working with the government, we are happy for you. We acknowledge that there is no any regime that has never worked with the Luo. That is very true. But I only urge you that let us behave like the likes of Ouko. Ouko was such an individual who worked with the government in a very prominent person in the government of the then KANU, but never belittled fellow Luos. Ouko knew it very well that we were Luos and will remain Luos. We need not to throw stones at someone who has given us the mouthpiece that we now have and talking about everything now. Yeah. You are politically right now. You have got the position where you are as at now, because there is a constitution that is saying that people should be given opportunities from all over the Kenya. That constitution was brought by one, Raila Amolo Odinga. Let us give him respect as a nation, because now I'm talking to Luo as a nation. When time comes, when Raila Amolo Odinga will make a decision, that decision is what we will be following. Reason for this, let me tell you. We have got something here called Osumba Mirwai in Luo. For those who will understand that. Osumba Mirwai is a warrior that used to be in the Council of Elders meeting. That very individual is the individual of the stature of Luanda Magere. You are not hearing of the chairman, or you are not hearing of those who used to be called Akuba, Okebe. The term Okebe used to be those who were well off in the society and could represent people. But we don't hear about them. We only hear of, when we go to Seme, we hear someone called Nindo Nyangaga. That was a warrior. When we come to Kisumu, we hear about Okori Ogonda. When we go to Karachuonyo, we are talking about Nyakiti Wonogutu. When we go to Alego, we talk about Tao Kugot. When we go to Kano, we talk about Luanda Magere. When we go to Game, we talk about Derakango. When we go to Nyakaj, we talk about Uwurwon Keri. When we go to the place of Kagan, we are talking about Atual, Kosumba. And when we go to South Nyanza, we are talking about Gorma here. A man who did not have that energy to fight you, but could use the spirits to fight you. So these people are the people that we are hearing about. The positions of those people is what Raila Amolo Odinga is holding us at now. We do not hear about the chairman of Luo. And until that time when Raila Amolo Odinga will not be there, his position, there is no one who can take. And that is where we are as a nation of Luo. Let us be upright and go towards the destiny where we know our spirits are leading us to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Agiver Bwana, for such a very good history about Luo. This is a conversation that we'll keep on having, not only for the Luo nation, but for our country as Kenya, because without Kenya, the Luo nation is not there. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we will be having a guest also to talk with us. So just get ready to be part of us. Thank you so much. And may I see you next time, same day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.